are back on Morning Line. Thanks for joining us. Nick Beres, along with Davidson County Sheriff Daron Hall, talking about one of his fallen colleagues, Sheriff Robert Arnold. And the reason I bring this up, I have a story actually that's going to be airing tonight. I was over there, the new sheriff in Rutherford County, Mike Fitzhugh, I'm very impressed with. A good man. I don't know if you've had a chance to meet him yet. But has been working pretty much since he took over for Sheriff Arnold after he resigned. And of course, Arnold's going to be sent to federal prison. Now he's being processed, but already convicted and sentenced. But they had lost certification under Sheriff Arnold. And I went over there and spent some time with him. And some of the things that he had kind of just administratively let slip through, the cracks, brutal. I can see why. What does it mean when you lose certification? Mike tried to explain to me. I mean, that creates all kinds of headaches, from potential litigation to problems with danger for the guards and the inmates. I mean, they had it to the point where they didn't have, what's it called, an inmate classification system. They really didn't have something really clear cut. And so you had cases where, different classifications of inmates were lumped together. You could have that just guy caught with a joint in there with some guy, charged with attempted first-degree murder.
Right. Yeah, I think the standards, TCI standards you're talking about, are statewide, required by law to follow those. And if you're decertified, I was on that board for 9 years, and one of the things I fought really aggressively, I thought you should be able to close the jails. I thought the TCI board
they're that important, those standards.
Our state doesn't allow you to close the facility. Now, the fire marshal and other things, as a result of your decertification, could do those things. But in some states, if you're decertified, you get notice and you have to close it. I think you should have the teeth in that in our state, because there are counties. My sister lives in a very small county, and there are counties that don't want to pay bills that you should be paying to make sure the staff and inmates are safe.
Exactly.
And they'll push it to the back and keep funding schools. I'm all for schools, but the truth is you have an obligation to maintain a safe.
You want to lock people up, you got to pay for it. Now, the small counties like where your sister lives, not that it's right, that's different in a way. They don't have the money, and the jail staff, they want to do the best they can, and some of them end up suing in federal court to get it. But in this case, Rutherford County, probably the 4th largest jail in the state?
Probably, yeah.
Think about it, 4th largest jail in the state, maybe Rutherford County, 4th or 5th. And they certainly have the resources. And yet they weren't doing these things.
Yeah, and I'm not judging Rutherford. I'll tell you something though.
Well, again, it wasn't their fault. It's Sheriff Arnold. And we all know the trouble he got in trouble.
But don't forget too. I mean, I'm a friend of Sheriff Truman Jones, who was up there for years and years.
Didn't have the problem with him.
He would sue the county all the time. He was very aggressive with it. And I think that's what sheriffs get into a lot of times is you're asking for money. In most counties, they need patrol, they need vehicles, they need staff, and the jail is one of those last things they worry about, because it looks better to patrol the streets. I get that. It looks better to have an SRO in the schools. But the truth of the matter is the jail is usually the last thing on your list to deal with. And then when you need it and you go to the county commissions and so forth, they don't view the jail as important either. They want more people off the streets versus taken care of. And so the sheriff's forced to continue to do what they want, and the jail suffer. If you would allow the TCI, I think the board, to have the authority to close the facilities, those counties that are out there keep pushing down the road, the jail functions would probably have to step up earlier. Instead, they get in far too much trouble. Rutherford is in that same situation where it went so long, and you're trying to do these other things in your county. When it comes time to deal with the jail, people just don't really care as much about it, and they don't want to fund it.
They don't, though they want to lock everyone up. That's the funny thing, and it's politics. It's what we know. So in a nutshell, if you're not certified, without going into all the nitty-gritty of what those certifications is, when you lose that certification, that's an indication of what dangers or concerns are happening in that jail. If you don't know that, does it make it more dangerous for the guards or the correctional officers, or does it make it more dangerous for the inmates?
Yes, and the liability, and what that really is about is if your jail isn't certified, meeting the standards that your state say is required, it's like running a kitchen without passing your inspection. People don't want to eat there. Eventually you're able to be sued. Well, a jail is a very similar situation, and so if you can't get your county commission and your taxpayers to fund what is a constitutional or state certified jail, I wouldn't want to work there. You're putting me in danger. You won't even let it meet the state standards. These aren't my standards, these are the state standards. And if you're not going to follow that, why would I want to work there? And if I do work there and I get hurt, I'm going to sue you. And I should. And if I'm an inmate and I go there and I don't have food or I get assaulted or I don't have what I need, I'm not classified appropriately, and the state says here's the requirement you must meet, and you're not meeting it, I'm going to sue you. And I should. And the county should have to follow those standards. These are not tremendously difficult to meet. They're not.
They really aren't. They seem fairly standard, but if you wonder why you should care as a taxpayer, if you say, you know, those inmates, to heck with them, they committed the crime, they're there, which, by the way, is not the way to think about it. You have standards for them. But it's going to cost you. I mean, the lawsuits that can come about because certain things aren't being done, and that comes out, I mean, there were, some major payouts.
And we're self-insured in Metro. A lot of counties aren't, and their insurance.
No, then that spikes, and then you end up paying a higher premium, right?
You've got all kinds of things. And look, I would say this in front of sheriffs. Most sheriffs need standards to follow. They don't need to come up with their own to run their jails. It's hard enough business to manage. We didn't come up with our own standards. We're ACA certified and accredited, and we're also certified by the state. These aren't my standards. I want someone to set the standard. Let us make sure we're meeting that standard. It's a tough business, tough thing to operate, but you wouldn't want the doctors deciding how to operate a hospital. Those standards are set by people all over the country, and you must meet those standards. You wouldn't want to go to a hospital today if you didn't think it was meeting the acceptable standards nationally that a hospital should be meeting. Jails are the same way, and just because a person is alleged to have committed a crime or committed a crime doesn't mean that you shouldn't have to at least meet the set of standards that are established. And I'm afraid that counties like in Tennessee, and back when I was involved, there were many that just never could get their counties to do it, and eventually they get sued and they lose a lot more money than they would have.
Are they suing, by the way, under federal guidelines or state guidelines usually?
I would go federal. Most of them start federal.
I think Truman Jones was one of the first, and then Sheriff Enoch George, no longer there. He kind of followed in his footsteps because they needed certain things for the jail that the county would not pay for. So it's an odd thing. You have the sheriff suing his own county, but he has no choice, or she has no choice. By the way, are there any female sheriffs in the state of Tennessee? I'm trying to think.
Not in Tennessee,
I know there are nationwide. I was just curious if there are any female ones. I mean, there could be, certainly. I just don't.
Obviously, Sheriff Ray was here. That was one of mine.
Well, of course. Your predecessor.
You don't. I don't know of any other in Tennessee now, but they're all over the country. I'm on the national board with many very, very, very sharp people.
Well, listen, as we wrap things up, just remind folks again, tonight the Predators play Game 6, and the color guard will be deputies?
Right. Yes.
That's kind of neat. So did they just come and ask you, or how did that just evolve for that? Real quick, we've got a couple
minutes. We do other events around the city, and like I said, our chief deputy is a Marine. He's very involved with our color guard, and the truth is, we do other things, but I guess when you're in the league these playoffs this long, police have done it, fire's done it, it's our turn, and we'll cross our fingers. Maybe we're the one who pushed them over the top. That's awesome.
I think that's pretty neat. Good for them. And your guess is that it'll be Trisha Yearwood singing the national anthem. But if she's doing it, is there a chance the big fella shows up with her?
I said that too.
How cool would that be if Trisha and Garth showed up to do it? I mean, again, the biggest game in Nashville history.
Right.
Okay, it is.
But the next one's going to be bigger.
Oh, everyone will be.
So who's going to sing next if you bring out everybody?
Just keep going. But Trisha Yearwood's your guest. I know Amy Watson was saying that as well. We'll see how that shakes.
We're starting a bad rumor then if it's.
Well, no, it's not. I mean, you've got the inside scoop.
I think Faith Hill, Tim McGraw are going to do it because at some point. Because he's got too much of a tie to the.
You know what, Sheriff? Let's not get ahead of ourselves. They have to win tonight. Okay, if they don't win tonight, then we have to go to Anaheim. And by the way, you know what's crazy? Have you seen some of the Anaheim games on TV? It seems like where they play is half empty.
I know it.
Yeah, I mean, I know we're hockey crazy here. Apparently not so
in
California, Southern Cal. I don't know. They're not going crazy over all that. But
I'm excited for it.
Let's not go back. Let's win tonight. So anyway, Sheriff, thank you for coming on.
Thank you, Nick.
Good to see you, sir. We'll see you again soon. And take a break. Programming note about tomorrow right after this. Stay with us.